It's 5 p.m. We're talking with Andre Glean, head of Money Mind Resources. You're going to enjoy this one. Let's go. So I just do that, you jump in. So Andre, what's impressive is, not only what you've been able to build, because I remember when you moved here and you were starting school, but you've succeeded in engineering, you've built that where you're a site manager, and at the same time, you've started Money Mind Resources, where you've been able to be profitable and successful in this investment space too. So what was the turning point for you? What was that moment where you decided to make these changes?
Oh wow! So we're going through a whole history there. Essentially, I would say the change didn't start after going through university or starting my career. The change really started from the time I left Grenada and I landed here.
Okay.
One of the most eye-opening moments for myself was my first summer working at a restaurant, Jamaican restaurant downtown Toronto. And during that time, that was the moment where I realized I required more in my life. I didn't know what more was at the time.
Okay.
But I just knew, I just started school. I was struggling through school with computer engineering. And this was my first job, my first real life, taste of real life. And I knew in that moment that, and there's nothing wrong with anyone who works in the service industry.
For sure.
But I just know it wasn't the calling for me. And that was when I was like, you know what, Andre, we got to buckle down. We got to figure out things. And then, I started college. And then fast forward to today, I kept that same mindset. It's just that I feel like in life, since a young age, I've always had that third person talking to me like, we need more. And you could relate, but
the voice in the back of your head.
I grew up with Kobe Bryant being one of those mentors, right? So
100%.
It's always like Mamba mentality, but that is applicable to all aspects of our life, right? It's not just sports. So I feel, to me, that was a turning moment. It's when I realized, like, okay, we got to figure this out. Get into college, get into co-op. Once I started working for municipalities through co-op, I started realizing, I did research. I started realizing, the technicians get paid X amount, but the engineers get paid X amount. So while in college, I knew university has to be the next step, just so that I don't limit myself from a salary perspective. So it's everything just moving on, and then starting the business. When it comes to Money Mind Resources, that one was more personal. Okay. Obviously, I'm no professional. I'm not a financial advisor or anything of that sort. But I always thought if I could understand how that money system within the stock market works, combine it with my analytical, logical mind. If you start to look at it as in terms of probabilities, then it's a lot easier than most people think. And I wanted to be able to now simplify, because a lot of the jargons are very technical when it comes to the financial world. And I want to be able to start simplifying things so that people could feel less scared of controlling their own finance and their own future.
Because it's a scary topic for a lot of people.
It is.
Right? It's scary just to think about it, and then you add in what's happening in the economy. And then I remember when I was working in corrections, one of the big things you'd see is people would be like, yeah, I'm investing in this and that, and I made this much profit, you should invest in that. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All I know is I watch movies and it's here one day and everybody drops the next day. So yeah, I've noticed with your channel, you simplify it, you make it make sense in a simple way. So why that? So why is it that you just didn't do that and keep it for yourself? What is the why that makes you want to build this out the way you have?
I'm really happy you asked that question, because the why to me was, I had a close friend at the time during the March 2020 pandemic.
Okay.
And anyone in the financial world knows that's when the market dropped to its lowest point. And that's typically when the best deals become available.
Yeah.
So I had this friend, he bought everything and didn't say a word to me. So fast forward a few months that summer, I started researching the stock market a bit more because the topic was hot. And then I'm like, hey, reach out to the friend. Hey, you ever heard about the stock market? And he's like, yeah, I just bought a bunch of stocks at the very lows. Now up how much percentages. And I just felt a ways. I'm just like, I feel like life's so difficult that if you think something could help, even if you're not sure, even if you're not 100%, but if you actually think it could help where you yourself got into it, why not share with a friend?
Facts.
Why not share with a family member? It's up to them whether or not they want to do it, but just put out that information. So the same way when I started learning about it, I reached out to him to be like, hey, you ever heard about that? I liked for that to happen to me.
Right.
So now going back to the competitive side of myself, I'm like, well, you know what? Watch me learn the stock market better than you. And that's kind of like where...
Motivation is motivation, wherever you find it. Motivation is motivation.
Right?
Yeah.
So some people may be like, really? I'm like, yeah, no, that's really what it was. But I didn't want to start saying it until I felt comfortable.
Right.
So I made sure I went into overdrive on the learning to the point where I was reading multiple books and the information was either being repetitive or I could actually start saying, oh wait, this book doesn't make sense. Like what they're saying. Okay. I'm like, this is not how you should be looking at certain things. That's when I started feeling more confident. Like, you know what? I'm gonna start posting because there's nobody else around me that's posting about it. There's no one else that's talking about it. And I'm starting to see success after the first year and a half. I'm like, I might as well just share the information. Even though I'm not a professional in this space, I might as well share with you what I'm doing. And
exactly.
that's kind of how it took off.
And it's taking off. It's an amazing thing to see. And I remember years ago when you had started reading about it. But all of us, were like, okay, we'll see. Because you don't know.
You don't know.
And then you just kept going and you showed the progression and you would talk about things and you'd see it happen and it's like, okay, he's onto something.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the driven passion, and I always say, it doesn't matter what's motivating you. It doesn't matter if it seems like it's shallow or wrong. Look, if it's getting you to get up in the morning, do that.
That's what it is, right? And it became so interesting because I'm like, you literally could print money legally. You know what I mean? Like you literally can just put money in there, keep it parked for a bit, and then your money's going to grow. And I just thought that was so exciting. I think that it's one of the best tools that we have, like for Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, any millennial, like any generation you look at, it's really and truly the most accessible tool for most people where you could start. Here in Canada, real estate has ballooned to unreachable places for most people. Yeah. But where I try to get my investors to think about it, I'm like, how about you use the stock market leverage up to get into real estate? Like sometimes it's just a stepping stone, because if it's unattainable for you right now, you might as well just focus on the asset class that is attainable, that is easier for you to get access to.
That is true. I think one thing that's important about how you went about it too is you started with education. I think a lot of people want the money now, so they just want that hot thing to get money in, but it's a slow process and it's important to do learning first. So, what was your path? So tell me, you decided to go into this and you wanted to get better. What were the principles? What was the mindset you used to know, okay, I want to read this, I want to do this? How did you figure that out?
To be honest with you, it was trial and error.
Okay.
There's no straightforward path that could be like, okay, this is it. And like, it was like, okay, first I wanted to start with Canadian content. So I could familiarize myself with what is a TFSA, what is an RRSP, what is an RESP. So I wanted to familiarize myself with what accounts I could use from the Canadian standpoint. But then when I was looking for more information on investing in Canada or investing in Canadian assets, it was actually very limited.
Really?
Extremely limited. The information that was more available was like US stocks and US based. So
bigger markets.
It's a bigger market. So that's where I started venturing off to kind of get a grasp. And then, I would say for some resources for beginners, like the very early beginners, is How to Make Money with Stocks by William O'Neill. That's one of the better books that I started reading that gave me a better understanding. Wealthy Barber by a Canadian author. David Chilton, if I remember his name correctly. So Wealthy Barber was another one for beginners.
Okay.
And then when we're talking YouTube, EYL, Earn Your Leisure University, that was one of the first places that gives you a good introduction into things. Mm-hmm. But when I started putting together the stock market with economics, is a YouTube series called the Come Up series. And the Come Up series, free content, no courses, no nothing. It's run by a billionaire called Mark Monroe, who lives in Seattle, and he essentially taught all that he knows through that channel. Now it's a lot of episodes, it's a lot of information,
but free knowledge.
But it's there, and the reason he called it the Come Up series is because he's expecting folks like myself to take that information, compound on it, and then create a business so that you can help others get to their come up, right? Okay. So that's I don't know him personally, but I call him my mentor. Mark Monroe is one of those stable persons. And then now, as I'm an active investor, Bar Chart Resources is one of the other websites that I use. They have a lot of YouTube informational, educational resources out there. Okay. But that's like the pathway I would try to like guide folks who are. But obviously, come to Money Mind Resources.
Exactly. Wait for you to get there. Start with me.
Come to Money Mind Resources because the reason it's called Money Mind Resources, well, it's self-explanatory. Money is typically always on my mind. Mm-hmm. But I have, over this last 6 years, I've gained a lot of resources that, as I said, I could identify what's good and what's not. Mm-hmm. And I may not know every company in the stock market, but I am aware of where you could go to start researching. Okay, you want to learn about this is what we're going to look at. And I have courses and stuff coming out soon that can help with more of the educational aspect for people who want to do it on their own. Mm-hmm. But I'm there as a guide. I'm here to help people like, hey, this is what I see for whatever you're interested in or looking at.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's help out somebody who's starting. Do they have to have a lot of money?
No, you do not.
How much would you start with? What's the lowest somebody can start with?
In terms of dollar amount, I'll give two answers. I'll give dollar amount and I'll give percentage of your income.
Okay.
So for dollar amount, I would say if you could just start with $100 a month, that is all you need. Because you can open a simple account with either, no sponsorship whatsoever, but Questrade and Wealthsimple, they're the best platforms for most Canadians to start off with. Okay. And you could do what we call dollar cost averaging. Meaning you're going to pick something that fits your risk tolerance and your goals, and then you continue buying that $100 worth on a monthly basis. Okay. And that's it. Let's just say if one of your goals is retirement, then typically the rule is you want to invest about 20% of your income or your disposable income. So after taxes and everything, 20% of that. That's like a good number for where you should be able to start. And if you cannot start with 20, and you can start with 10, then start with 10, but look to work your way up to 20 at the very least. Okay, so it's very simple, very easy. It's not hard to get started. Just have to do the homework ahead of time. Yes.
Okay.
And don't let the homework keep you back because I find that so many persons are trying to, they want to learn everything. Mm-hmm. Learning about the stock market is almost like going to university. Like it takes time. It will take you almost 4 years before you can fully grasp like everything about it. Okay. But if you're starting, you want to start off simple. Most people, beginner advice is start with ETFs. So that just means you're buying a product, an investment that is, instead of just one company, you're buying a multiple companies in one, right? So that just, it mitigates your risk. You're not taking on too much risk. It's typically what most banks will put you in, but then they charge you more higher fees just to do the same thing. Okay. Right. So we're trying to get folks to see like you don't have to be always reliant on the banks because they're charging you for their shareholders to make money. Like right. So if you wanna just, most banks are going to put you in either a mutual fund or an index fund. It's an ETF is just a cousin of those products. Okay. But it's much cheaper when you do it on your own.
And you eliminate the middleman.
You eliminate the middleman, and right. So now, a lot of your parents, my parents, they might have been told trust the banks. Mm-hmm.
We know better.
We second guess that now.
Heavily. Anyone who was around for 2008, you know exactly why that bank is a scary place.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of want to, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going to banks, but you should want to diversify. You should want to be able to do something on your own also. And then after a period of time, you might look at it and be like, oh, one's outperforming the other.
Then you switch up.
Then you can make a decision whether or not you want to switch it or not.
Okay, so maybe if you're looking at that 20%, maybe you give 10% to the bank if you want to do that, and then you
The
play
next
with 10%
to yourself.
And then you see after a period of time if one is making more money, you know what to do.
Exactly.
Okay, that works. So in order for you to do this, there has to be certain values or principles or even a discipline that you follow. So what are your disciplines? What are your values that guide you in being able to do this?
Oh, that's a great question. In all honesty, I try to be as transparent as possible.
Okay.
One thing I tell folks is if you're looking to invest money that you need for next month, terrible idea, right?
Okay.
The investment, folks will tend to be like, hey, I'm interested in trading, but I have to correct them. Even though I know what they mean, I have to correct them. Trading is when you're trying to get in and out within a period of time.
Okay.
Right? With long-term investing, you're typically looking to hold from 5 to 10 years. And you're looking to add to your positions over that for that period because you're thinking about the long term. You're thinking about future you. So I try to tell folks, if you start a position today, expect within the first year and year and a half to be down on that position.
Right.
More than likely, you're going to be down at some point on that position. Expect it.
Right.
So it's one of those, it's just, for instance, my journey when I started investing heavily was during 2022. For folks who may not know, that is the period when interest rates on both Bank of Canada and the US Fed side went from 0% to about $1 million. I'm just joking, but it went up extremely high. When interest rates go high, markets tend to come down. So for the full year, I was down for, I want to say 11 months.
Which is hard.
Which is hard.
It's hard.
That's the hardest thing to do. Like I remember being down over 10,000 US.
Jesus.
Right? And I just had to tell myself, I've done the research, I know the process, stick to the process. You're buying great assets at cheaper prices. And lo and behold, in the beginning of 2023, what was introduced? ChatGPT. All my investments started running.
Flew.
Right? And
NVIDIA, all of them.
And that was the research I was doing is coming down to the end of 2022. The next thing I kept writing about was artificial intelligence. I didn't know in what form or shape it was going to come in, but I knew this is what these companies were preparing for. So it was one of the best opportunities to get in. So in terms of my values, it's just be consistent with your investing.
Okay.
If you have a plan, stick to it. If it's $100, stick to the $100. You don't have to buy every single month, but at least keep the money there so it's always available.
Okay.
Be transparent. You're going to be down on positions. I'm not here to sell people a dream that you're going to be a millionaire in 6 months. Like that's not realistic. If it was realistic, we all would be doing it.
True.
So it takes some time and it takes that endurance. And the last thing I would say is keep learning. It doesn't just start there because you may start with an ETF and then in 4 years you may realize, wow, this is really performing well. But then you might have missed out on opportunities on companies like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, the major companies that are part of our day-to-day life. You may miss out on that by, okay, if you have $100, maybe you put $80 to the ETF and $20 to one of these companies.
Okay.
Right? Because now you're going to miss out on massive potential gains. But it all depends on the person. It's very hard to generalize it because everybody has different risk tolerances and stuff like that. But that will be like the main core values when it comes to staying on path and staying as an investor and watching your accounts grow and doing something for yourself and your family.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell me the moment where you were like, I'm doing the right thing. This is it. Because there was a moment, I don't know if it was a position jump or it was just a feeling. When was that moment you said, okay, this is me?
When I said I was doing the right thing was in the end of 2023, like after a year of watching my account be down the previous year,
Yeah.
and seeing it skyrocket and doubling the next year was when because what I would do is I would send my screenshots to my brother and my sister and be like, hey guys, like during the downturn, I'm like, hey, I'm down 1,000, down 5,000, down 8,000. Then I stopped sending the screenshots because I'm like, this is tough. But then I get to being down 8,000 to being down 2,000. Then I'm break even. And then I'm watching it continue to grow. And then that's when I'm like, oh, I figured this out. Like, I get what's happening right now. And I would say understanding economics, because I'm not an economist, but understanding basic economy, like what make assets prices go up, what make asset prices go down. That changed the game for me. Because now I'm starting to realize, like, okay, even in our personal life, like you and I probably had previous discussions about interest rates.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough. Do we go variable or do we stay fixed?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those where I'm like, based off of this economic data, I think it's going to da, and then it actually starts working out. Like you start seeing, oh, interest rates is actually starting to come down now after a period of time, which was the expectation. So it's like those type of information helps put everything together now, because it's not just stocks, it's not just financials. It's literally listening to the governor, the Bank of Canada governor, listening to the U.S. Chair Jerome Powell, like understanding what's happening and how it impacts our day-to-day life, like and understanding things like inflation.
Yeah,
inflation is one of those not talked about topics, like how it impacts everyone. Like literally everyone gets impacted by inflation, but you can't see it, right?
No, we don't get it. It's just a catchy term you use to show that you watch news today. Yeah,
but it's essentially a tax. Right? So now that oil prices, gas prices are high, that's another tax. That's inflation. Right? So how do you combat these things? So that's where it like when I started, I wouldn't say like 2023 going into 2024, that's when I started coming into the where I'm like very comfortable. I'm like this is making a lot of sense. There's things that like I don't want to say predicted, but things that I thought were going to happen, they happen. And then that's when you start to be like, okay, I could do this.
It's a great feeling. Finding your lane is one of the things that is very hard to get to, but it's a beautiful thing when you hit it. And I mean, the one thing you mentioned is you spent a year essentially seeing, living in doubt because you've seen your numbers go down. So how much have you failed along in this journey?
Man, in the beginning it was rough. I won't even lie to you, because I want to say the first 2-3 years my portfolio was maybe underperforming what it should have, because I was trying different things. Okay. Like I'm the person who I will buy a bunch of courses, go through the courses, I would pay for mentorships. Those mentorships usually didn't lead up to what I thought it would be, right? So some people say, well, you got scammed. I don't think I got scammed, because in every situation, I got a lesson from it, right? Or I did learn something, but it might not have been worth the value of what I paid for, right? So it's just one of those where I just kept getting disappointed in the beginning, but something in me just said, like, it works. You know this works. This is what's supposed to do, and it's just about being persistent and having patience. The pandemic, I will say, has prepared me for patience. I think it forced us all to sit down. Yeah, no choice. Because I was not a patient person, but because of that moment, I realized, like, oh, patience is really a virtue. Like, it really has true benefit behind understanding, like, not everything's going to happen in the time frame that you think it's going to happen. You might have to wait an extra year and a half to actually start seeing the results. And that's just one of those periods where it's just like, okay, I think this is just what it is. Like, you gotta wait some time, you gotta give it a year and a half, and then when you start seeing it, then it starts to make sense.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's just a lot of people are used to failure, so they figure the minute there's a failure, you have to quit. Yeah. Right? And I think it's important for people to realize you are going to fail whether you like it or not. That's why it's very important to buckle up and be ready for it and just deal with it. Yeah. Because every failure is a learning tool. This is awesome, man. Okay, so you've been able to build this for yourself, but you are still a leader in your professional life.
Yes.
Outside of investment. So, what is that like? What are some of your guiding principles when it comes to leading others? Right?
Essentially, for me, I take it on like if I was in this person's position, like I'm a supervisor for a few folks. If I'm in this position, how would I like to be talked to? How would I like, basically how I like to be communicated to, and how I'd like to be treated. And communication skills is something that I've developed and I've worked on a lot over time. But it's one of the most critical things.
Yeah.
Right? And once you know, because not everybody's the same. Not everyone's going to receive the message in which the same way.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to get a gauge as to how people are and try different techniques to be able to communicate like this, this is what we're doing. This is the expectation. And let me know if there is an issue. Right? So we need to get the chain of command in place. And typically, once the person has like an open mindset and they're willing to work with you, it works smoothly. Not every time you're going to get that. You're going to get the folks who don't want to work within your system, who don't want to work with, communicate very well, and it becomes an issue. But there's not, it's only so much you could do in that type of situation. So, working from a leadership standpoint, from like an early part of my career, like I was kind of tossed in, I should say, into certain positions where I'm like, sink or swim.
Right.
And I'm a survivor. Like I rather try than just be like too scared and be like, hey, you want this opportunity? You could be this new position. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though in my mind I'm like, I'm not ready.
They don't need to know though.
I'm not ready, but you don't need to know that. But we'll figure it out, right? And it's just one of those, like I'm literally someone where I will figure it out. And if I don't know, I'm gonna ask questions. And I'm not scared to look stupid, like some people would say, but I don't think you're looking stupid if you're inquiring and trying to obtain more information.
Facts.
Right? So it's a saying that's always said, but if I'm asking a question because I don't know, guess what? I won't have to ask that question again because I know now.
Facts. Facts. Right? That's where it is. Okay, so like you said, and I mean what you do, you are dealing with engineering, so what you do has an actual direct human impact. So I'm sure there have been conflicts or disagreements on how to move forward on the site or getting things done. How do you handle that?
Ooh, great question. Typically, I would normally. Okay, so for instance, in my scenario, I'm dealing with contractors most of the time.
Right.
So if we don't agree to something, or we don't agree on a topic, first things first, I'm usually going to my supervisor or even my colleague, who's who I'm supervising, to get their opinions on something. So I don't think I'm always right, unless I know I'm right, but unless I'm 100% sure on something. But if there's doubt between, based on the scenario, I will get other professional opinion. And if they're not available, I do have great relationship with other colleagues that I will ask for their opinion. Like, hey, we have this situation here. Contractor's saying this, I'm saying this. What are your thoughts? Right? And that gives me more surety as to, okay, whether or not I was right, whether or not they're wrong, or it's a mix between the two. Like he's right and or they're right and I'm also right.
Okay.
And then be like, okay, now let's come to a conclusion with the contractor. Okay, this is what we're proposing, and then let's take it from there. Typically try to keep the clients out of it unless it's something they have to be a part of, depending on the situation. But we like to keep it internal first and then with the contractor, and if we can get things going, then
take it off from there.
Yeah, like usually we try to get things resolved without having to go escalate things. That's everyone's preferred option.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing that you not only look to your colleagues, so you take feedback from others, but it's also being humble enough to be able to realize I could be wrong or I may not have the right idea.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for people to come to terms with, especially if you hold a position of authority, right?
Yeah.
But it's crucial because other people know things too. Right?
That is true, and that's something that's shocking to me. Just because I feel like I'm so open to taking constructive criticism. Like I need to know feedback. I usually would ask like, hey, well, how can I have done this better? What can I do? Or if no one's telling me anything, then I could only assume I'm doing a decent job, right? So I'm always somebody who's looking to, I don't always think I'm right. Like I would still say I'm young within my career. So even though I still have a few years of experience under my belt, but I'm always open to hearing somebody else's perspective. Like right now, the job that I'm on, like I have an older gentleman who's working with me, and I'll ask him like, "Hey, what's your thoughts on this?" Like, and then he gives a different perspective. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even think about it that way, right?"
Yeah.
So it's just one of those. It's just like being open and being flexible, like being open-minded. Like it's not everything is black and white. Like there might be some gray colors that you may want to look into a little bit more.
100%. 100%. It's I think it's refreshing, and I've noticed, if you look at our parents' generation, the boss was this monolith, like this authoritarian that's not to be questioned. And so now that we've begun that switch where it's like, no, the boss is actually part of the team.
Yeah.
And it's through that collaboration that things happen. That's amazing. Okay, so being that you are collaborative and it seems like you have great relationships with your teams, if I was to ask them, what are your non-negotiables? The non-negotiables, they know you can't bring that to Andre. You know what he's gonna say. What are the non-negotiables?
Turning a blind eye. Like, obviously there's severity to different situations, but sometimes I don't want to say it. Let me
get it right.
Politically correct here. But I would say there might be times where a contractor, just as an example, but a contractor may want you to, don't worry about that.
Oh yeah,
what I mean?
Okay.
That's small, and it's like, it might be small to you, but it's there on the drawing for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of times it's like, some guys would be, this is not a big problem, just leave it as it. But no. Our team discussed with this governing body, and they made a decision to have this here. And it should be done. And if it's done and we have reasons to say, okay, this might not be needed, then we could bring it to their attention. But as of right now, this was what we were told. We might ask about it beforehand, be like, hey, they're bringing up this point for this item. What are we doing? And if they said no, this is it, that's it, cool. No questions asked.
Right. Build it for them. Just give it to them.
This is what they wanted. You are getting paid to build this.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything else. So
Facts.
It's like one of those where it's just like, they may say like, oh, this makes no sense. You engineers overcomplicate and overthink. And it's like, okay, buddy, thanks.
We do that for a reason.
But there might be a reason why we might have to replace this structure or something in 10 years as opposed to 25 years. It might be because of this small insignificant thing that you perceive as insignificant. So it's just one of those, like, I'm kind of hard, like, if it's there and there's a stamp and there's instructions for this, get it done. Then get it done. Don't think because from your experience it's not important. No, it is important as of right now. On this project, it's important. So get it done.
Attention to detail matters.
And that's what we get paid for. That's why we're here. It's like the little things is what matters, because you start to notice, like, after you talk to the designers, they're like, oh, so this is why you guys have this here, and so it's just, people think they know but they don't know. Right? And that's where I'm just like, no, like, let's stick to what we know, what we're supposed to do, and what we're here for.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so we're about to close off. So what if you could go back in time, say 15 years ago, what would you tell yourself at that point?
Ooh. So much. So much that we wouldn't even be working right now. That's how much I would tell them.
Right? So we know the stocks in it, we know like the secrets. Like I would have told myself, invest in Google with everything you have. Right? But that's kind of a part. But what kind of values and things would you instill? What would you tell yourself 15 years ago? Like, this is how your mind needs to be.
Yeah, no, I got you. So there's a few things, but the ones I think really are important is be open to networking from an early stage. So even to the point where, I guess it's not advice to myself because I kind of did it, but I could have done it more. But be open to networking. So if you see a career event, go. Even if it's not for your field, go. Just go see what's out there.
Yeah.
You want to try to expose yourself because you never know when you might need a summer job. You never know when you might, or you got a break from school for 2 months. Like they may have something there that could fill in for you, as opposed to when the 2 months is upon you, now you're scrambling and you're trying to find something last minute. So be open to networking. Be open to just having conversation. Get good with communicating. Like if you're a shy person, unfortunately, breaking that barrier of what you're afraid of is one of the only ways to evolve and grow in life, right? And we want to keep evolving as time goes on. So I would say networking. Also, if we're going to relate it to the stock market, the sooner you start, the better. Like whatever it may be. I remember years of working with Foot Locker, and I was buying Jordans when I should have been buying. Like, I don't want to say Nike stock, but Walmart stock.
Yeah.
Nike stock is terrible. So, well, you might want to buy a Walmart stock. So, like, start investing as soon as possible. And even if you're later on in life, it's never too late to start. That's one of the major things. Like, I do it for my son. Make sure he's invested. Make sure he has something to look forward to in the future. And I would say, be flexible. Be open-minded. Try different things. The younger you are, the better. Like now, I'm looking back. I'm like, man, I should have gone into like carpentry school, plumbing school, electrician. Just trying to get different skills and, that could enhance you for what the world is today. Back then, like we used to frown upon people like. Being in Grenada, we had like a school that I lived right next to. Yeah. I'm embarrassed to say this, but literally it was a trade school. Yeah. But that was looked as, if you didn't go to community college, the next option for you was trade school. And it was frowned upon. Right. And now I come to Canada, I'm looking around, I'm like, but all the electricians are making 6 figures. All the plumbers have their own business. Thank you. Making $500,000 a year.
Thank you.
What was I doing?
Kids, go to trade school. You don't know how important a plumber is till they come to your house and charge you $100 just to tell you have a problem. That's when you realize you should have gone to trade school.
Oh, 100%. And so that's when I started, I'm like, oh man, like carpentry, being able to build something with your own 2 hands. Yeah. It's not recognized enough. So that's when I'm looking around, I'm like, man, I could have been I could have been a laborer or something. I could have tried different things. So I would say just be open-minded, be willing to try. In this day and age, accept artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It's one of the most productive tools that will ever be introduced in our lifetime. Maybe quantum computing next, but who knows what that will be. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. But as of right now, artificial intelligence is the new internet. It's just the internet on steroids. 100%. And you'll be surprised how much you could do and how much you could grow. Rather than being an employee, this is actually the generation, in my personal opinion, that could be set up to be have the most entrepreneurs. Because there's a lot of places you could find a small market with a need. You have artificial intelligence at your disposal to 100%. Figure out how to address that need.
Yeah. And your modes to promote your businesses are different. A lot of people look at even being online and streaming, etc., as I want to make money from YouTube. YouTube might just be a good platform for the right person to notice you. Yeah. And then you're actually making money from everything else you're doing.
You can get brand deals and all that type of stuff.
Etc. Yeah, it's a lot different from our days when it's like you have to be a businessman, a lawyer, a doctor. That's about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's changed.
All those modes of like what success is has changed. And it's changing in real time. So it's up to you to kind of figure out explore. Try different things. Like literally just, if you don't know what you want to do in life, try as much things as possible and try to filter through it. At least give yourself a time, say for the next 2-3 years, you're going to try this out, see if it works. But try different things and expose yourself and be willing to learn. Be willing to try things that are hard. That's that's just what it is. You won't
Yeah.
know everything until you're really submerged into it, and when you can start attaining the skills and be like, you know what, I like doing this.
Yeah.
And then there you go. You either build a career or you build a business off of it.
Either which way, you don't fail if you try.
Yeah.
Something's gonna give.
Easy.
All right.